Welcome to the Victorian review show for Cox Plate weekend. Nicko, how's it going?
Good, Drew.
Good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
We'll just keep on going to different venues each week. And here's a new venue, so I hope the people are enjoying the background this week. How'd you go on the weekend?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I found a few winners there on Saturday, and then Friday night could have been better, but I got out a little bit there on Tommaso, which was a good result. But on a day or 2 days where probably not a lot of things in your favour from doing form in a betting point of view, I think I got out of it reasonably sort of unscathed.
I think those that did their form for a leader bias track went okay for the 2 days because, favoured track. Sorry, I've been told not to use the bias word in any way, shape or form, but that's what it was on the Friday night.
It's definitely an advantage to be nearer to those inside lanes, whether it was either leading, which is more than often like where the leader sits on the inside lanes, or those horses coming through there. It was definitely an advantage to be there.
Well, on Cox Plate Day, only one of the winners sat further than fifth back in running. So you had to be on speed.
It was the last race of the day.
Last race of the day, and it got the suck run through, and it was kind of three back the pegs, but it was more counted as ninth in run just because of where it got. So because they were three wide for most of it.
Yeah.
So let's just have a quick look on the Friday night at the Manikato just to start with. So obviously this has been taken out by Brave Smash. They actually haven't gone super fast in the race. So as an example, on the day, Runson would have probably won the race by 3 lengths. It tells you how slow they went early. They went slow as in below benchmark. Wasn't too far below benchmark, but it was just, a nice even tempo. Realistically, there were horses that weren't favoured here. There were forgive runs, US Navy flag, slow out. I'm not sure what to make of it going forward. It may just need Flemington Straight where they don't exactly go helter-skelter early.
Yeah.
Intelligence Cross was not there for a win. Malaguera was subpar, first up. Tulip, no luck. Jungle Edge, not up to these. Fleet Review just is sacked now, in my opinion. But when you get to the top area of it, Brave Smash, you can't fault the win. Further forward than you would have expected, but I think that was a victim of circumstances with US Navy flag missing it. It's actually got a really good spot. And from there, it was just a really good ride.
Yeah, I think the thing that won the race here was definitely the ride from Huey. You just look at the spot he settled in. He obviously knew the horse from the start before, told him to take the blinkers on or off. There was something like that where he told him to do, and it worked out for him from a jockey's
blinkers on, I'm pretty sure it was.
Telling the trainer, it was just a freak down weird. But yeah, the run he sort of got in transit, I put it down a lot to how good Hugh's ride was. Of course, there's going to be a lot of commentary about Kementari. I was pretty filthy after the race myself, but
So when you'd seen how the track had been playing to this point though, it wasn't in any way, shape or form a bet, and it's accordingly drifted out to about $8.50 on Betfair late. So
I think the price we got was the right price to find out.
Well, the 12s in the pre-markets, yeah, definitely. You're very happy with that price.
Even the 8.50 nines on the night, I think I got nines on the night, it was definitely the sort of price where, yes, he wouldn't have a lot of things in his favour, but at that sort of price, I'd be happy to back in what I think probably is the best horse in this race to overcome the bias and put it down to a bit of his class. There's just, like I said, I was pretty filthy after the race, but...
So you didn't go each way is what you're saying?
No, I didn't. Stupid. But just watching the ride back, I'm not sure there was a lot he could have done.
Yeah.
Yes, he probably could have posied up next to Brave Smash and sit wide the trip, which I'm not against, because...
Well, Spirit of Valor did that.
In my opinion, he's the best horse in the race, Kementari, and I think he sort of proved that with the way he hit the line.
Yeah.
But I can see why Glynn didn't do it, purely because just racing in general, no one likes to do that. So I can see from that point of view why he didn't do it. From a punting point of view, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and if you want to win the race, and the blinkers on, I understand why he didn't want to fire him up either. So, look, there was a few things, but if you do want to put it down to we got Glynn, you could probably put it down to that as well.
You probably did get Glynn, but look at what they did on Spirit of Valor. They took it out of the luck's hands and tried to take it on and just got run down by a better one. So
This is where I was dirty on myself because I backed Kementari, Spirit of Valor. I had a small little save on Invincible Star, and I found, doing my form assessment, I found Brave Smash, and I didn't have anything on him. So,
do you know what the worst part is? Rob's had Brave Smash, the pick of the yard in the Everest.
yeah, exactly.
And I haven't butted up. Like, I haven't followed his...
I backed him in the Everest.
Yeah.
I didn't follow my money, so
Yeah.
I think there's a bit to be learnt there. Sunlight had no luck, neither did Hootson.
You think Sunlight's genuine enough? Like, I was willing to take it on pre-race. I don't think we learned a lot.
She's genuine. I don't know if she's that good,
Yeah.
but she does bring a lot of intrigue backing up into the Coolmore. I know I've sort of underrated her this whole prep. I got my money out of her sort of 2 starts ago, and when she won at Caulfield.
From your excellent trial reports,
Yeah, but
almost declared it immoral.
yeah, well, it was definitely suited in that race. But the figures she's brought back this prep, maybe they're just the slow time she's been running out of front haven't sort of allowed her to go to a level where she went as a 2-year-old. But she does bring some intrigue backing up into the corner, which is what I think they are doing. But as far as being a $4.40 favourite in the race, I think that was a little wrong.
Agree completely. And look, I would just say Kementari's one of 2 horses that broke benchmark the final 600 metres, with the other one being Sprite, which is no surprise.
Sprite went very well. Yeah, she was another run that I imagine most of these horses would go to the VRC Sprint 1200 metre Group 1 down the straight last day of the carnival.
You'd almost just be wanting to put Sprite on the plane over WA at this point, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Kementari, I think, is going there. I imagine they'd probably send Brave Smash there. I think all Aidan O'Brien's horses are still going there. Maybe Intelligence Cross question
I
mark.
read that one of them was going,
Okay.
and they didn't say who, which intrigues me because I'm actually generally not sure who they're going to
Well,
send.
unless they go to Perth, they've got no other race to run him in, really. Unless they want to drop right back in class or back him up next week in the Salinger, I think that's what it goes by the name of. The last race of the day, they're 1200 metres at Richcombe won last year. I'd be expecting all of them to head towards the Group 1 down the straight in 2 weeks if they were going to run again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting where they head them to. I mean, they're all working pretty well at home, so we'll see.
Malaguirre is a clear forgive run. He just never got a run. And he
Yeah.
got poleaxe hit back into the rail, so don't know if we can really sort of get a huge guide on how he went, but yeah, interesting watch there from Kementari.
Well, let's head straight into the Saturday card and let's go to the race of the day.
Winksy.
Winks, a Cox Plate, 2-length victory. Interestingly, so we've got a bit of a controversial question here for you to start the day. D. Argentino, who has never led a race in its life, has led them around 2 lengths faster than class benchmark on the punting form data. So now, I'm going to be honest before you comment on this and say, I've watched back the replay. It's jumped clearly the best of them. He hasn't exactly pushed it out in any way, shape or form. And Ben Battle had the opportunity to keep going and try and take the lead. He didn't. And Rostropovich has then slowly worked his way up there. So as much as I want to call this team riding, there's no way I could.
I think they more rode to the pattern of the day, and that was to be nearer to the rail and on the speed. I don't think he was sent out there as a pacemaker. They had the gate to do it. All things in their favour would do it. And from their point of view, I suppose, if there's a race where you're going to try and fluke second or third because nothing can make ground on the day,
Yeah.
it'd be the Cox Plate where it's, 750,000 for second. That's like winning a Group 1.
Still probably get paid okay for 6, I imagine.
Yeah, he's still got 100,000 back
Oh,
in the
there you
kitty. So, look, it's not like he's gone out at it. Like, what was he, two?
Two and a half lengths.
It's not like it's a brutal tempo. They've just sort of clicked him along.
My only concern with that is, look, the horse has never led in its life, so I wouldn't expect them to lead it strongly. But that being said, it's come out of strongly led races, so...
Yeah, it's come out of fast races.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't against the sort of tactics there, and especially because they told us about...
3 hours before, yep.
What can you say about? Like, she's just a freak, this horse.
And as you're watching, I love to get horses beat, right? And I'd love to get her beat one day, but I said in the podcast, I said there's simply no way Ben Battle beats her. And the game was over with 1,000 metres to go when she's just smoking the pipe behind Ben Battle and run. He was the only horse that could beat her. and it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, it was a ride where I think it was a very good ride from Hugh from that point of view compared to his Turnbull ride, which he sort of put question marks on how he was handling it and all those sort of things. But this just showed how classy she is and he is.
Yeah.
This was a great ride, just kept her out of trouble. What you probably want to do on the Cox Plate, being there on the day, it's like nothing I've really been a part of. It wasn't a race day, it was an event.
Yeah, I didn't turn up, so...
It was very...
I'm not a fan of that many people where... I remember last year I could hardly get to a spot where I could watch it because going from the mounting yard to there, it's impossible, which is a bit disappointing, but at the same time, that's what happens when you go to the mounting yard.
Yeah,
so.
That's what happens when you've got... I think I had 38,000
yeah.
there this year, so...
Like sardines, chock-a-block.
From that point of view, the atmosphere was just amazing. It was like... I've never been to a grand final, but I think the atmosphere there would have been... It was nothing... I can't even explain it. It was that good.
I went to the Geelong 2011 grand final, and while we watched it in standing, it was just electric. Like, because you had the game going both ways as well.
I love the build-up to it. Like, as far as from a punting point of view and all those things, I just sort of took this race as a racing fan, which is what I am. I've been following racing ever since I was born, and this was just something else. Like I said, it's just hard to explain. Like, even when she walked out, everyone was cheering for her. When she came to the mounting yard, everyone cheered for her. And I think the greatest thing about Winx is, although she's a horse, I think she kind of knows she's pretty good.
You have to know you're pretty good when you're that good, I think. And I think she appreciates it as well, every single person that's out there. You can kind of just tell she likes it.
Ben Battle was a good run.
Just before we move on from the event, so many haters out there about Daryl Braithwaite. I think it's just become part of Cox Plate Day for me that Daryl's there singing horses, and if you're 6 deep into your tinnies by that race, you're going to bloody enjoy yourself singing horses out loud, like, and make an absolute tit of yourself along with Daryl, aren't you? Like, why can you hate on that when, look at the AFL grand final stuff we've had the last 6 years, there's been some terrible stuff.
Yeah, like, it's become a bit of a tradition, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It seems... I can see why people be sort of hating on it from the sense that, like, he doesn't really even sing the song.
Of course not, but it's not about him in the end.
Exactly. It gets the crowd involved.
Yeah.
It does set up the stage, so to speak, for like this. The whole atmosphere of her going out onto the racetrack was amazing.
Yeah.
The other runs in the race, Ben Battle, look, he ran pretty well.
So he's off to Dubai. He's not going to back up in the Emirates or anything like that, which he probably would have been $1.80, $2 in that race if he had backed up. So they've said, look, he's won $1.25 million in Australia. You'd be pretty damn happy with that campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's won a weight for age Group 1 race and he's ran second to Winx. You can't do much better than that out here.
Yeah, I thought Humidor could definitely run second, and he was going to be my play in the race, sort of Winx out sort of markers, but just the way the day was sort of shaping, was going to see Ben Battle. Hard to see Ben Battle sort of getting run past by a few of these who run back on. Humidor was still okay, but I think Benny Ascari said it on racing.com. It's hard to sit behind Winx and try and beat her. Yeah. So
a bit of humiliating when seeing someone just go so far away from you.
So Avilius was okay.
I would say if you were to tell me which one do I want to back going forward to Melbourne Cup, I would say I want to back Rostropovich. Like, I think
Did the work.
It had to do the work, got over, and certainly been beaten a length in the end by Avilius. I think it's a perfect lead-in run for the Melbourne Cup, knowing the stable and what they're trying to do. Plus, it's fairly well weighted, so they both are, I guess. But yeah,
it's never really a poor lead up the Cox Plate from Melbourne Cup. D'Argento did what he could. I thought Kingswood Dream broke his pelvis.
Yeah, fractured. So I know a lot about this. My horse, Time to Sail, who injured itself on the way to Roll Gatton on Friday, worked itself up in the float and taken quite a bit of bark off the back and little punches on the legs, bit annoying. But it fell off the back of the bloody float coming off it like a year and a half ago. Hairline fracture in the pelvis. She had to just 3 months in the stalls, not really moving. It's a really hard one to get over.
Yeah, and some of these injuries are tough, especially when they're, like a bone like that, so pivotal to moving.
Yeah, and it's hard to come back from. Like, it's really hard to come back from.
yeah, I'd be avoiding him and any sort of all in betting for the autumn.
I'll put it this way.
He's the sort of horse I don't even reckon they'll run him in the autumn.
You want to see it. There won't be in the autumn.
No.
100%. It's a year. It'll take a year, and even then, 5 or 6 runs to know if you can back it or not.
Did they make the wrong decision?
Yeah. Did you hear? I don't even remember. It was probably the Monday review that I was doing. I just assumed that they weren't backing up in the Cox Plate after the knuckling. And look, it's hard. It's easy to say from this position as a person who's not the trainer not an owner to say, yeah, they made the wrong decision. I was surprised they backed up, but at the end of the day, I would back Darren Weir's team to get it right 100% of the time. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's hard to say anything bad about it. What do you think of Savvy Cooper? I thought it had the run of the race, and it's just found absolutely nothing. That New Zealand form,
generally a pen job for mine. They're just no good.
They sometimes bring some okay ones over, like Ocean Park was pretty damn good.
Yeah, but like he was a freak.
Yeah.
And he come over here and he sort of reproved himself heading in towards the Cox Plate.
Yeah, Savvy Coop hadn't, I think, ran 5th in the autumn last year or something. So, let's move on back to the start of the race day.
Race 1.
So this is probably the most interesting race of the day, considering what happened throughout the race. So, Espana's led them around 1.8 lengths faster than class benchmark, and hasn't really had to come home fast at all. So the data times of this race are a bit questionable going forward, is what I would say. And Espana's realistically just got gifted the race. Biscara's sat right behind it, had every chance.
Yeah, every possible, yeah.
And our one from the yard,
the rest of
True Serendipity, just took them all out like a bowling ball. It's like, oh yeah, you want to go wide? Well, let's go a little bit wider. Okay, let's go a little bit wider after that. And then, I'm still on the wrong leg, go a little bit wider. The eye catcher from the race, I'd say, is Salome. So it was actually the widest of all those horses. It's covered 11 more metres to get home than the first 2 in run. And it's only been beaten about, 3.5, 4 metres?
Yeah, about 5 lengths.
Yeah. So, look, I think it was the best of those ones that got pushed wide. It was a complete forgive run, and I could follow it a bit forward, I think. What about you?
I sort of thought how the race set up from after that interference, although she was the widest run, I don't think she copped a whole lot of it.
She didn't know.
In terms of being knocked down or anything like that, which with a 2-year-old is... if a 2-year-old can run on after being knocked down, it's a very sort of rare sight you see in their good horse. So
that's fair.
If she's going towards another 1,000-metre race, I think she wants further. So I'd be looking to be against her just because of her pattern. I sort of stuffed this up, I reckon. Espana was probably a bet, and I probably should have marked her higher than I did from the trials. I still had her as a B, but she was probably an A in hindsight. In saying that though, it's hard to sort of really get a gauge on how good she's gone, given half the field have been taken out of the race. Yeah. Yes, they probably weren't travelling that well, and you could say that she was going the best and looked the winner on the corner anyway, but it's very sort of inconclusive saying that she was just lengths better than them. Biscara had every possible chance to get past her. The rest of them just clear forgive runs. It's a race where it doesn't really... I suppose Seabrook ran well in it last year, but as a whole, it doesn't really throw up a lot of form going forward. Yeah,
and I think the sectional data is suggesting that there's a real query over the actual depth of this race.
Champagne Boom also didn't... Although the win was very good, she also didn't run the greatest times either. So, don't know how to rate them going forward. There's still a lot of water going to the bridge from golden slipper point of views and those sort of things.
Yeah, I wouldn't be jumping into any of them, that's for sure.
No.
On to race 2, 955 metres. Desert Lashes has led them around at a crawl, so it has gone 12.5 lengths slower than class benchmark. So absolutely crawled here. And it's actually bled from both nostrils. So it's ran second, bled from both nostrils. Mm-hmm. So it's banned for 3 months. But it's very rare you see that happen. I had this is me reminiscing today, my old mate Miller Street, who was my first ever horse who I owned. He bled twice, so he got banned for it. But it was both on synthetic. And the first time he bled, he loomed into it. He looked like he was just, he's hit the front. And he was just ready to start putting it away. And then the jockey said, I just felt it bleed. Like, I just knew exactly where he's just suddenly stopped. He still kept going for second, but they just lose a gear.
Yeah.
It just really takes it out of them. Kind of what we've hold on Wednesday. That's cost me a fortune. I was absolutely balls to the walls on it at $7 in the Bet Easy had a futures market up on the Sunday.
Yeah, nothing went right for it.
So I think bleeding's it's a massive forgive, and that's a massive run for a horse that hopefully gets back.
Dicko found it, didn't he?
Yeah, it was on top, I think, from the yard as well. Ashwell sat outside, just simply too good for them. Batter Hoz, 3 wide the trip, forgive. Invincible L, I'm pretty sure final 200 metres, best of the day.
Yeah, I think it was the best. Some of the data I looked at was the best 4, 6, 4 and 2 of the meeting, which doesn't surprise me given the slow fractions they went out early that it's come through.
Exactly.
And just how
Yeah, 6-4-2, best of the day.
It doesn't shock me at all. Most of the race is actually running home in very good sectionals just because of that. As you said, Ashwell probably had the perfect run in transit and hit the front. It was hard to make ground. Willow, you probably got a little bit willowed there on Invincible. I watched the replay.
It's hard. He can't really make, like a move before that, really, and it's tough.
The best ride I saw of recent times in a sprint race at Moonee Valley was Mark Zara on Land of Plenty.
Yep.
That day one there where, yes, he's a back marker, but he was right there on the corner. If you're sort of giving away 4 or 5 lengths and hoping your turn of foot's going to run him down, yes, it might happen, say like 3 out of 10 times. But if you're right there on the corner and you're on a horse like Invincible, I would have said he probably would have won this race. So in terms of that, that's how I'd like to see those sort of horses ridden, even sort of like a Kementari, if he was, proper within striking range on the corner, he probably gets a lot closer. Whereas, 200 metres and coming off that tight turn, it can be hard to get around that corner. A lot of horses tend to crab around it and then they pick himself up again. The race is just over from that point of view. Thermal Current, you're pretty stiff if you backed him as well.
Yeah, I keep backing him. I backed him last time at Cranbourne.
Yeah.
He was fairly beaten that day by Runson, and look what Runson's done since,
Guard of Honour was disappointing for mine. I think, just looking at his action in the straight, I think there could be maybe a little more of an underlying issue there that maybe didn't come out. He just didn't look like he was flowing.
Yep.
Compared to his trial. Nasdex is okay. Late Charge was actually alright. Don't know what they're sort of going to run him in, but he looked okay from mounting yard. He was dappled up, so he's... I
think he'll be a summer series horse over the 955 and he'll win a few races.
Looking and feeling well. Yeah. Horse I could follow out of this race was the horse that ran last. And SP 100 to 1.
It's rare you can say that, right?
Is Gutang Gal.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good sort of handle on this horse just because I do a fair bit of country sort of form. In her right sort of race, if she drops back to, say, 64 grade, just looking at her, she's a 65 rater, so her rating wouldn't have gone down. She drops back to like 64 grade. She's not a 1,000 metre horse by any stretch of the imagination. She's 1213, maybe even 14 at her best, and especially if she goes to like a Sale, Moe, Bairnsdale, even Cranbourne.
Well, we're having a lot of Bairnsdale up in the future, I bet, with summer coming on, so...
Yeah, if she heads to a place like that, I could definitely back her.
Okay. And you'll probably get a decent price.
Yeah, I think the run could be maybe a little miss, but again, horses coming back from provincial form going to country generally are sort of well found, but I don't know if she'll be as well found as she probably should be.
Well, when they finish last, that's a good thing for you.
It was a very good run.
Yeah. Let's move on to race 3, 1,600 metres, Group 3 for mares. Shoko's led them around 3.2 lengths slower than class benchmark. Got a pretty easy time out front. No one really took the horse on. Just proved far too good. Manziel Tess has just run really well, for second.
As she does.
Sabatino sat 1-1 most of it. Then probably from about the 800, it's come 3 wide because it just, I guess, wasn't liking the tempo.
If you back Sabatiano, I think you're definitely within the right to be sort of spitting chips because it did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, well, you thought it was just going to bolt in, right? At the 600, you're like, this thing just wins.
It was travelling well. It just didn't let down, so...
And I'd say you probably have to spit chips if you back Princess Posh. I just thought they've looked to follow Savartiano into the race.
You've half got Glind there as well, especially on the corner.
It was tough because I think you're taking the right path following the $2 favourite into it.
Yeah,
and then
when she sort of half comes back into your lap, he's probably not sort of a whole heap of options, but to try and get around it or duck back to the inside, which probably wasn't there. Maybe a bit harsh commentary from me, but
Nah,
he's not one of my men, definitely.
I'm pretty happy to bag Glenn if we can. Silent Roar, every chance on speed. Mrs. Gardenia maybe into prep. I don't know. Like, it's not really doing much.
I'll keep running her because she's probably only, fifth or sixth up, maybe even fourth up for you, so they just tend to push on.
I'll go another 20 runs. Burning
It
front
could be
style.
a bit of, yeah, exactly. It could be a bit of forgive, but she's always well enough found in the market, this horse. Horse I kind of found was Snogging.
For the Busted and Young Yard, yep.
I quite liked her run. I was giving her a very sort of sneaky chance heading in because I always sort of thought she's had talent, and in the right sort of races she'd definitely measure up. I think this was her right race.
Best final 600 of the race.
Yeah, and then you look back to the inside, Regan probably pulled the right rein in trying to get up the sort of fast lane, if you want to call it that. Probably pulled the right rein, given she probably doesn't have the class of, like, say, Princess Prosher or Salvatiano, so she was trying to save the ground, but the run just didn't come. As you said, her closing splits were good for the race. The best sort of from the 14 to the 6, and then you could probably say her last 4 and 200, she hasn't had the most luck. If she dropped down a level and grade again, if she went back to like a 78, mares, even 84, if they didn't sort of aim her up at this sort of grade again, which I don't know where they'd sort of go with her, maybe they go the matriarch. I still think she could run well. I don't know whether she could win a Group 3, but if they drop her back a little bit in grade, she could be one that's maybe a little missed as well, and she can run well.
With these type of ones, is this where you send off a sneaky email to the stable and say, hey, look,
Potentially.
I've done that before with a horse, and they didn't listen to me. But I think you kind of got to try when you find something. Like, in this punting game, you pull every rein you can. Like, mine was stupid, right? I'll tell you. It was Zacata in the Sydney Cup. I was determined that the only reason the horse hadn't won its previous 3 starts was because it resented being whipped the final 200 metres. And I was pretty confident, like the way it was travelling, and then it gets whipped and it kind of stopped, and they didn't care, and they still whipped the hell out of it in the Sydney Cup, and it actually enjoyed the whip. So, you kind of don't know everything.
Well, that's the thing. Trainers, they're trainers.
Exactly.
They don't have a lot of time on their hands.
Yeah.
They don't do a whole lot of form. So if you could, I think a lot of the bigger staples would definitely have people doing form for them, but if you got the sort of balls to do it, and you want to go out and do it and put yourself.
Well, this was Murray Baker, Andrew Foreman.
Like you got nothing to lose if you say, hey, look, this race is going to be junk.
Yeah.
Maybe go towards that from a futures point of view, because as I said, they are trainers and they don't sort of have a lot of time to be doing everything. I know with my dad, he doesn't have time to be looking at noms and sort of things. So me and Travis say, well, this race has come up a bit weak. They've extended the noms and things like that.
Well, same with tactics as well. If you think a horse should be bloody leading, and the stable have, they're a mid-sized stable, and you're not confident they're going to try and lead with the horse, but you know that there's not a lead in the race, send through the email, say, hey, here's my speed map. I think you've got an advantage here.
You got nothing to lose, that's for sure.
Sorry, I took us a little bit off target there. Let's move.
Race 4, yeah.
Yeah, move on to race 4, 1200 metres, 3-year-old fillies. Sorry, who's led them around here? Spanish Whisper. So this thing's just had to work into it and just realistically just fallen out. Led them around slightly slower than class benchmark. I pestered Rainbow Girl. So I'm saying Spanish Whisper led because it was actually sitting outside Rainbow Girl for most of the race.
Yeah.
But it was just, when they get like a head or two ahead of them, and that inside horse just then has to kind of overwork and over-race a little bit. And I think it's cost Rainbow Girl the race here, because it's just had to do a little bit more work than it wanted to, and still ran really well second. Beauty's come over the top. You've had a Luminari who's had every chance. Into the Abyss, a little bit unlucky, not really. Assertive Plays had to cover ground. I could probably follow it a bit forward.
Although Into the Abyss was a little unlucky, it was a little past the line. It's not like she's running past them.
She's not, no.
So I think that's something to take out there. If anyone doing the tapes at home, especially when you see these, like Very Elegant was a good example in the Manifold Stakes behind Amphitrite.
Yeah.
Like, yes, she was unlucky, high up for most of straight. Once she got out, she really savaged the line and looked past the post. She was well in front.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely something to take out of when watching replays.
And I would say the camera people are pretty damn good with this as well. They always give you that after the line image as well. I would say with a 30 play, I reckon the horse didn't handle Moonee Valley that well. So I want to see it probably 2 weeks' time or something at Flemington. So
Well, I was against her. I was against Into the Abyss. I was against Spanish Whisper, so it didn't leave me with much but Rainbow Girl and Beauty. So I backed the winner.
and
I backed
had
the second horse. So that was a good result for me. And Beauty was definitely the better result. I was much keener on her. I just liked the way she sort of could map, sit 3 wide, blend into the race. I always sort of thought from the trials she was a horse that had a bit of talent. And like this race, I was happy to pen Spanish Whisper just because I think she's a bit of a myth and probably gone for the prep. She obviously has talent. She has shown that, and her SP's probably got to be respected going into first up next preparation.
Yeah.
So I think she'd be going for a spell, but like Rainbow Girl, she ran well. As I said, Into the Abyss, a 30 play, I was hard against her. Didn't like Barrier One, I'm So Sweet, so that sort of left me with Beauty and Rainbow Girl, who were both sort of good results, but definitely went my way there with Beauty winning.
Well, that Luke Curry, Tony McAvoy combo is just absolutely killing it at the moment. Like, you're getting some stupid prices on these horses.
They're both very easy to find.
Yeah. That's about it for that race for me. So, race 5, Australia Stakes, 1200 metres, 3-year-olds, Group 3. Charge has led them around here at a very fast tempo, 3.5 lengths faster than class benchmark. And I was watching the vision, right? And I'm like, oh, it's done like a 10-18 from the, I think it was 1,000 to the 800. So I was put in a substantial sectional there early.
There's a few horses, like in the first race, I think they broke 10 seconds.
Yeah.
For the 8 to the 6, or
Yeah.
they were pretty close to it. So there was a few where if you were up and moving on the speed, and that horse was Hispania in the first, and Charge has done similar here, it just sort of took all the other horses out of the race, and you were hard to run down, weren't you?
Well, I thought Sunset Watch should have led, and look, I'm probably being harsh on Dwayne saying that he should have kicked up and held Charge out, but that's what I thought. If he does that, he wins, because I think
Charge was going that quick. I can see
Yeah.
why he let him go.
yeah, it's tough to
And
to
it seemed like
say
he
that,
was
isn't it?
hell bent on getting the front in
Very,
that sort of in that first section. So I can see why he's done, but I can see your point as well in saying that if he probably does roll up and sit outside, he definitely makes it closer.
Quickly on the 2 eye catchers, Blue Roach has ran extremely well. I thought it loomed to be the winner, but then it's just not found a lot, and clearly everyone will have seen the run of Ring a Ding Ding. It's just absolutely flown home from the back, and I tell you, I would be looking for further than 1200 with that next start.
I think he goes to the 1400 metre race on Stakes Day.
There we go.
I read that somewhere on Twitter.
I will be backing it.
I think he might. He's the sort of horse. Yes, the run was a big run. All things taken into account from that point of view, very good run. But everyone seems to be finding it.
Yeah.
Everyone will be looking for a sort of a pile-in job at the Flemington Carnival. I think this horse could be seriously overbet in its next start. And if it goes to that race where he's probably going to strike a pretty similar field in horses of this ability, I doubt anything's sort of past. You're not going to get horses backing up from the Coolmore or the like. They're just going to be of this sort of range who are spring 3-year-olds who probably aren't the top graders, probably what I'm trying to say. I just think the run, there's going to be a lot of media hype around it. There's a huge flashing red light on it. I reckon he'll be overbet next start, and I'll probably look to be against him in the right sort of race.
That's fair enough. I can respect that.
Blue Roach was okay.
Yep.
Ring-a-ding-ding did run straight past her.
I mean, Blue Roach was 3 wide the trip, so got to
Yeah.
account for that, I guess.
I had Wagner as a big question mark coming to Moonee Valley just off his Caulfield run and his jump out where he didn't seem to get around the bend.
Yep.
And for mine, like the bend at Flemington on the inner track probably isn't as severe as the bend at Moonee Valley. So he was a bit of a sort of take on. I couldn't get spin as short as he was.
Me neither.
Ragged Rascal was okay from the back. Al Merton is just no good.
Pulled up lame, so it's hard to. I mean, I won't be backing it going forward off for a lameness
I think
issue.
we
So
can get rid of him. Just the winner though, like Huey, just a gun ride.
Yeah.
I think that's what we can put it down to. We saw a good Huey there on the weekend. If this is what he has in store for Flemington, I'll be looking to find him on a lot of horses because he's back.
well and truly, I mean, he's right on Brave Smash. He's right on Charge.
His ride on this was superb.
Yeah. And then his ride on Winks was 10 out of 10.
Exactly. Yeah. Now the pressure's off. He's gone out. He's won the 4th Cox Plate. He doesn't have to worry about wings. He doesn't have to worry about any of that. He's got to go out and ride winners.
Yeah.
He could be back. Because when he is like that, he probably is the best jockey in Australia, or one of them.
Hopefully we can find another Jordan in the midweek carnival then.
Yeah, that'd be a good result.
It would be. Race 6, 1600 metres, Group 2, fillies, 3-year-olds. Tempo has been brutal here, 7.6 lengths faster than class benchmark, where Fundamentalist has led them around. Ran really well for second, even though it was putting the real short ones late, like really short. Now, not necessarily ride of the day, but run of the day for me is Mystic Journey. It's settled 3 wide, had no luck getting in, and the jockey just has not panicked. So I don't know much about Adam Trinder. I figure he's a Tasmanian jockey.
Jumps jockey.
Trainer. So I meant Dolmanen or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Dolmanen's also rode here for a long time. He's sort of, since going back to Tassie, I think he's got a lot of confidence. He's one of the better riders over there. So he comes over here. You can't match it with the big boys.
Yeah.
It's just probably, if he was riding here, it'd be sort of like maybe like a Stevie Basser, that sort of.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
can sort of match it, but tends.
Not Carolo. Yeah.
Yeah, like that sort of in that sort of that age and that bracket. But yeah, you can definitely get the job done. I don't think he's necessarily a negative if you're finding him compared to some other jockeys who come onto these sort of obscure horses. Yeah, Adam Trinder was a jumps jockey and rode plenty of winners over the jumps, so he seems like he has half an idea.
Well, it's good to be able to put these horses over jumps as well, I reckon. So
Yeah, that could sharpen them up for
yeah.
certain things, just get their mind ticking over. Fundamentalist, it's a good run. Eldorado Dreaming,
Yeah, great run from the back, but
it's a good run. I'm sort of questioning D Lane, a few of his rides in this meeting. Like we saw all the rides earlier today, Thermal Current. There was another one that comes to. There was Thermal Current. There was Into the Abyss.
I
That was
mean,
the other one.
looking at his last 50, he's only had 4 winners, so he's going at 8%.
I think he's just a little off, and as sort of a consequence of that,
Negative 70%
and
ROI.
you sort of look a month or 2 months ago,
Yeah.
he was getting every ride for Weary.
Yeah,
Now, if Johnny Allen can make the weight,
he's getting it.
getting every ride.
Yeah.
So I think Weary's onto it. Just if you like, yes, he probably didn't have a lot of luck there on Thermal Current Into the Abyss, but he's done it a bit lately. And I think this was another sort of ride where he sort of went back looking for the runs to the inside, where he probably could have just been sitting wide and building his momentum.
Yeah.
Don't want to be too critical on this ride because he had the pattern completely out of favour. I could see why he went back to the inside. I just don't think it was an advantage on a horse like this. It probably had to build into it work, given she wants further. She was a good run. Maybe they back her up in the Wakeful.
Yeah, I'd
2,000
expect so.
metres. Yeah, she could be hard to beat there. Chrome was okay and Yarn was okay.
Yeah.
Not a race I was too keen to follow.
I think out the back, nothing here I want to be on going forward.
No, like I backed Teddy Arden and Maiden at Cranbourne. She has paid like $71 on Betfair, so definitely there's not much behind them.
I'll be following Mystic Journey anywhere it goes.
Okay.
Chuck it in a Group 1, I'll be there. That keen to...
I think
Because I'll get odds.
they're putting her out for the autumn. I think I heard you say that.
Disappointing.
Don't quote me though.
Yeah, well, just did. Moonee Valley Race 7, Group 2, 600 metres, Crystal Mile. Cliff's Edge has been a little slow out, which has meant CG Quebec's been able to lead them around here. And they've gone really slow, 8.5 lengths slower than class benchmark. So on the punting form data, it's clearly just... I'm a bit surprised they've gone so slowly here because CG Quebec is a horse that's suited by fast tempo.
It's Michael Walker. He goes slow on the front runners.
That's a fair
You
point.
see all the time. You see in the bush, he is the anchor drop king.
Yeah. So the horse has then dropped out from the turn when it's had the perfect run throughout. It's not a surprise. It wasn't suited.
I think he's a little weak, this horse. I've watched him in Sydney. I don't know if he has the greatest will to win, even back in the days when he had a huge boom on him.
Yeah.
And then he copped a bump from Cliff's Edge on the corner. A horse like that, I was sort of the thinking that he probably just spat the dummy out.
Okay, you think he just gave it and said, "No, had enough."
Gave it up, yeah, because he doesn't look like the sort of horse that has the biggest heart. Cliff's Edge has a big heart.
Massive heart, yeah.
Very, very good.
He just finds a way.
I can't believe the early price they bet. They bet $550
Yeah.
early.
Jumped 290, 280.
Yeah, I didn't get any of the 550, but
Yeah, me neither.
I was happy to take 280.
Yeah.
He was a double chips in job for mine just because of the internet on the course. I had my bet, and then I didn't think it went through.
Yeah.
So I had my bet again, and then both of them went through. And I was like, oh.
That's another reason why I don't like going to these big days. Is
It
just
was
because of the
shocking.
internet services and like that has to be the biggest
Talking
concern.
to a few in-play guys, like they just gave up. A few
Yeah.
of them, like,
Well, you can't go. Like you're better off going to the second meeting of the day and just in playing from there and doing your own stuff there. Like that has to be something that's addressed by, I think, the clubs, but RV as well. That I think, in terms of the in-play guys, there has to be a deal that's struck because these guys, I think, are critical to the market and getting in-play flow going
I
in a
think
little
the
bit.
whole thing about in-play and betting in general is they just don't understand.
That's true. It's very true.
As much as we fund the sport, I don't think they see it like that.
I can tell you they don't.
Yeah.
It was from emails that I've sent through, and it's a bit frustrating, but we keep campaigning, and one day we may even have an organisation like the trainers and the
We
owners and the
can't roll
jockeys
over.
have.
Like, we got to keep fighting, that's for sure. But yeah, definitely. Like, even I can remember Melbourne Cup Day last year. I didn't even have a bet in the Melbourne Cup because we couldn't get one on.
Like, that's just absurd, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like,
I'll speak for Walshy right now. Come bet with the on-track bookies.
there's
Yep.
there's your best go.
It is.
Because the internet's cast.
That's what you got to do on those big days, unfortunately, and that's why I won't be going to the Melbourne Cup this year once again.
So I had my double chips in Cliff's Edge. Thought he was moral, so I was very happy with this result. I backed Beauty on the day and him. They were probably my only two real sort of. Cliff's Edge was a very strong bet. Beauty was an okay bet. The rest of them I just sort of had, like your real sort of small each way play.
Yeah. I thought the eye catcher who wasn't suited was It's Somewhat. From the 800, it sat 5 wide. Just kept coming to line. It's covered 7 more metres in the run than the winners, and I reckon it's on its way to Perth. So I think it's had the tempo not to suit. It's got in the worst ground considering for the day. It's had to cover more ground, and it's still finished okay. I could follow it forward, I reckon.
Yeah, he's got the class. Again, Cedric Quebec story. I don't know if he has sort of that winning attitude like Cliff's Edge. Behind him, I didn't really find much to follow out of the race. I think he backs up this week in the mile race at Flemington.
I wouldn't be backing him there.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got a lot of things in his favour all the time. Like he can roll on speed here. You saw he can go slow. He can go fast. I think it's better when he goes fast. But yeah, like Kyrgyz did trial well for a stayer. Thought this might have been a bit much of a task first up, but leading into the summer months where his best is like 2,400, I think he could be a horse. Just keep watching him for the spring. If he gets the right sort of setup over the right distance, and he's put in a couple more runs like this where he's been beating 5-6 lengths, he might be one sort of in 3 or 4 runs. We could have a bit of a
So you
play.
might see him sang down Cup Day probably too soon for him, but
Yeah, I'd imagine they maybe go like the 1,800 metre race, Melbourne Cup Day, because his rating's pretty high because he won all those races in the winter, and then they probably progress like 2,000. Once he gets 2024, he can definitely be followed.
So moving on, race 8, the Gold Cup, 2,500 metres. Trap for Fools has led them around 8.7 lengths faster than class benchmark on the punting form data. Do you reckon it was unlucky to not get a Cox Plate run off this?
Yes.
Yeah, I think pretty unlucky. I think we've seen lots of worse horses. I think if Seamus Award got a run, then we have to consider that.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't know the criteria of being on the panel that selects these horses, but one thing I do want to know if they're just board members who, yes, they love racing, they love the sport and all that, but they're probably not form analysts.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're the sort of greatest people to be picking the horses going to the Cox Plate, because from a Cox Plate point of view, yes, he probably would have been 100 to 1 chance, but
Well, Seabirch or whatever it was got a run last year.
yeah, like
right?
Seabirch, Hardham. I'll say maybe they did learn their lesson with putting those horses in the race, but this horse was only beaten 2 lengths by Winks last start.
Yeah, exactly. And Kingsville Dreams got a run, and it was pretty much similar, right?
Similar run. So I think in terms of setting up the race, he would have, if they had looked at that a bit more, he could have set up the race a bit better than probably what it was with that sort of a bit of a jog trot.
He would have led D'Argentino, Ben Battle would have sat behind probably the leader.
I just think it would have taken a lot of the guesswork out of it. Yes, it is racing, it is gambling, but I do think he deserved his chance.
I agree completely. I thought this is the prime example of a race where if you've got an opinion on an out-and-out stayer and you see the tempo on like this, you can make a lot of money in play. Ventura Storm was an absolute in-play moral for my eye.
Did you get something out of it?
Yeah. This is my big win of the day. I didn't really bet a lot on the day. Lost a bit up until this race, and then this is just the one where I've taken about 380 in play at like 400 metres in and just said, I'm kind of chips in here. Like, this is the horse. It's just been slowly progressing. It's gone back from fighting Winks.
Yeah, exactly.
And it ran extremely well on that day.
Well, the big thing with Ventura Storm was the money. It was like $18 into 550
Exactly.
after they declared they were rolling forward. I definitely think the syndicates found him because of that. Because it's a big day, a lot of money in the pools, and to create that sort of go, I doubt it's just sort of one big punter or anything. But it's definitely a syndicate.
Well, especially when the Taj Mahal's been extreme. So I bet it when the Taj Mahal's been 3 wide the trip at this stage.
It's been well back too, like into 380. It was like 450, 480 throughout the week.
So when you see that happen, you see Toes and Basil sitting back in probably an unwinnable position. Egg Tart caught the rail. It's going to need a bit of luck. You're just looking at it, you're going, this is a horse. And I had to kind of take on Trap for Fools. I didn't think it'd run as well as it has.
Yeah, I took him on.
Yeah, I was thinking that's a great run. Outside of that, Who Shot the Barmans ran extremely well for a run ready to go to the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, look, he'll run top 10. I don't think he can win.
Just a quick thing on Ventura Storm. They've broken the track record here, which was owned by the United States. And I put this out on Twitter after the race. That United States race...
Throughout Prince of Penzance.
Prince of Penzance has run second and had led that race around to put that speed on to get the run in its legs to go to the Melbourne Cup, which that run led me into having a little play on it for the Melbourne Cup that year. And Ventura Storm should now get a run based on its rankings in the race. So it's a great lead-in race, realistically.
Very good lead-up for any staying race, even in the Cups.
And it's a good horse. You can't discount it in that race. So would I be saying it's going to win the race right now? No, I won't be saying that. But would I have it in my exotics? Yeah, I would.
The thing I took out of the race was a ride by Dean Yendall. Very good ride on Trap for Fools. He had 2 rides there on Saturday that were A-class for mine. Just riding to the pattern, the horse, all those sort of things. Trap for Fools and Sauvoir.
Yeah.
He's been beaten less than a length on both of them. Like, that's just racing, but...
We'll get to that last race. That's painful.
That was 2 brilliant rides from Dino. LeBron got home well. He was travelling into the race well. Who Shot the Barman? They're probably both going towards the Cup. I can't see him, unless they got a Lexus and back up to the Cup. I don't think they're going to be a bet in either race. Sally was okay. Miss Admiration did a lot of work from the back, but she did have an uninterrupted run.
Yeah, had the right to be finishing off as
And
it did.
she did have a right to be finishing off. Horse I definitely want to be following in the race is Mega Blast.
The grey.
Thought this was a very good run, and maybe another one where, like these meetings leading into Cup Week, we've had a very interesting set of circumstances. Last week at Caulfield, where every race was pretty much just run below benchmark.
Yeah.
Similar sort of situations here where it was a massive advantage to be nearer to the rail and on speed. So I think going forward, we've got to treat these meetings very carefully heading into Cup Week.
Lots of figure runs.
Yeah, definitely. So it could throw out, like Cup Week could be a tough week from that point of view because it could throw out some funny results.
Well, that'd be good. You get 50s on a couple of horses.
Like exactly, if you can find the right horse. I think this horse will probably head to the Lexus, I'd be assuming.
Yeah.
But this was a pretty good run from back in the field. He jumped pretty well, and then D-Line just took him straight back, probably under tactics. He hit the line well, given he didn't have a lot of room in the straight. He was ducking and diving for runs. Yes, he was coming home on those inside lanes, which probably is boosted his finishing position up a little bit. But this is a horse who won't be aimed at the top grade, will keep running, can run 3,200. I'm thinking like a Sandown Cup,
Yeah.
a Zipping Classic, the 2,600 metre race on... I think it's the Queen Elizabeth on the last day of the carnival. Like if he's aimed at either of those sort of races, I'd be happy backing him at a big price.
The Pursuit Stallone Cup.
Yeah, that's the race. The Queen of, what was it called? Francis of Assisi. That race that he bolted in. That, if he heads towards a race like that, then there was the Sandown Cup, especially in the Sandown Cup because he can run 3,200.
Perfect. And it's not normally overly strong, the Sandown Cup, so...
No, he's a horse. He was one of the horses from the meeting who, like, not a big flashing rider on anything that I want to be following and backing throughout the prep.
Last race of the night, race 10. They've put the tempo on here. Cloaks led them around in the end with Seville also kicking up on the inside. 3 lengths faster than class benchmark.
This was another big go, Savoy. 8-4.
Yeah, it deserved it. It's a really good horse. Its run at Flemington I thought was great on the lead-in. He's kicked at the perfect time, Yendel. He's gotten away from it at the 600, and it's just taken a freakish effort from a R. Lang Derby-bound horse, Polanski style.
Like this, I laid it Bairnsdale. I remember laying it.
Yeah.
And it got beat.
Yeah. It's a sick game at times. This was the other horse in the day I've had a big bet on because I've said, I think this is the right horse, it's the right race, and geez, it's just hurt.
It sort of looked like it won as well, didn't it? I didn't think it got beat.
I said on the line I've been done because it was heads up versus heads down, and I'm unlike some race callers in recent times, I'm pretty good on these when I know when I've been done. Kind of like race one when on Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's called the wrong one winning. I'm like, nope, the other one won because I was on it. I knew I was good. Just 2 horses that have done super work. Ama Mayo has covered 14.
Yeah, Mayo, yeah.
Thanks for correcting. Has covered 14 more metres than the winner. And Mickey Blue Eyes, who once again got his cock out in the yard. He just loves to do it.
Yeah, the 5th leg.
Dead set 5th leg. He's also covered 11 more metres.
So did the winner, though.
Yeah.
He had the 5th leg as well.
Yeah, there are a few...
I'm lucky I was working on the day because as soon as I saw that, I was like, geez, what prices are these two and how much can I lay them for?
Look, I don't think
they both run huge.
I think now with the Regime stuff, I think it's going to happen a lot more often in the yard.
It's strange, though, because all these horses are boys.
Mickey, well, that doesn't stop him.
That's a weird...
Doesn't stop him. Mickey Blue Eyes, last 3 runs, I'm pretty sure he's got his cock out, just so you know. So it hasn't stopped him winning. So...
Take that into account for the Derby, and especially with the favourite is the winner, I should say. He won't be the favourite in the Derby. Aramayo made good ground. He's $6 in the Derby, second favourite. Savvy Oak was good from the back. Mickey Blue Eyes good from the back. What are they going at sort of sectionally here early?
3 lengths faster than class benchmark, so pretty fast.
Okay, so the week back up, it probably stands a lot of these horses in good stead.
Yeah.
For the Derby, I didn't think there was much in this race that was sort of missed.
Yeah.
The top sort of 5 home were probably the horses you could follow, and the ones you would have been finding from a replay point of view. Don't know what I'm doing from a Derby. I think Thinking Big in the Caulfield Classic definitely had the PR out in front, going at the slow speed. Prior to that, Haramayo did beat him in the Spring Champion, so they're intertwined. And then you go back 2 starts ago to Extra Brute's run where he ran, he makes Savoy look second rate. I'm thinking I could be forgiving Extra Brute in that slowly run race where he wasn't suited. DK Weir, maybe the blinkers go on or something like that into the Derby.
Well, Savoy's going to lead them around. He's going to put the speed on. It's going to be suited, right? So I'd be, if I was at this stage having a bet, it'd be on Extra Brute and be on Aramayo, and I'll also be able to pronounce the name by the day as well.
Yeah, so from a Derby point of view, I think Extra Brute, if you can forgive that one run, I definitely wouldn't be penning him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, horse to follow from the meet?
I've got 2 main ones. I've got Mystic Journey. Hopefully they don't, stop it anywhere. Aramayo's a follow. And I do have Ring a Ding Ding down, even though I know you've got it as a follow to lay. So,
price dependent.
Yeah, it's price dependent for me as well, is what I would say.
If he goes up like $3 in that race,
no, I'm not backing it at $3.
Different story.
I'm thinking they'll put it up early, $5.50, depending on the field.
And that's the thing, if you're looking to back it, I think it'll be backed early.
Yeah, it'll get backed. So you just be first into the market with the tab prices.
My 3 will be 3 hopefully hidden gems for us, because I think this is a meeting where, horses like Ring a Ding Ding and Co, they're easy enough to find.
Yeah.
Gutane Gal was the first one. I think if he bucks back to like a 64, a mare's race somewhere, she could be running well for us. Snogging, if she drops back in class as well, I think she is another one that can be running well if she doesn't go towards the matriarch, and Mega Blast. So they're the 3 I'll be most interested to see where they go out of the meeting.
So I've got a few viewer questions to just kick on with. So this one's from See the Stars, so maybe a UK person with that type of name. Do you think Winx would be capable of running a drum in a Group 3 event overseas, given a quality of overseas horses versus ours?
I got no idea.
I can simply say that I would pay money to see... I'd pay $2,000 in terms of airfares and whatever it had to be to see Winx versus Enable versus Cracksman and even whatever the horse that ran second in the Arc was, which I backed it under Sea of Class or whatever its name was. Like, if I could let that 4-horse race on, I would pay any money to be there.
So if you owned Winx, you'd be sending it there?
I would not be sending it there unless there was a big prize money on offer. I would say if you got all the world, UK and Australian racing and stuff to
Like
chuck
if you
up
got
15
like
mil.
an Everest sort of setup.
Chuck up 15 mil, sell on a pay-per-view to see the race, make it so people have to pay or something like that.
Cash.
Yeah, I'll pay. I'd pay to go there. So, short answer is she is the best in our country. She's probably the best in the world, but we will never know, and it is stupid having the discussion unless they meet.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan, should Drew wear his big orange suit and Poon Train hat and do a nutty run on the Flemington Straight after his best bet gets up in the cup? I would struggle to get into the big orange suit, so that's something I need to work on. The Poon Train hat is only reserved for when I go to Hong Kong or Singapore and see Matty Poon having a ride. And I do not think that anyone wants to see me doing a nutty run. From Tom, who was your disappointment at the Cox Plate Carnival?
Well, for the punters, it'd have to be Savatiano. I think everyone at home would be, who had backed her at $2 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You'd be disappointed in her. Disappointed with the carnival.
A US Navy flag was by far the biggest disappointment of the Cox Plate Carnival for me, by a mile.
Don't know. From a self-interest point of view, it was disappointing Kevin Tari didn't win. But, yeah, I don't know.
We'll move on to the next one. Aussie Mug Punter, should she go for 5, so meaning Winx?
Can't see why not.
I'd be sending her over to the Arc and breeding with Frankel personally.
I'd be doubtful she does. I think her last run will be in the Queen Elizabeth, Sydney, where they can send her off. Yeah, I think you might have missed your opportunity if you're looking to go see Winx with the Cox Plate. Yeah.
Well,
you had 4 years to do it.
Yeah, but last year you were getting $3.30 for her to win this Cox Plate, just so you know.
I think it's
because I had it in multis and everywhere, and
I think it's a similar sort of price.
Yeah,
I'd be doubtful, but again, there's no reason to say why she couldn't. That's the way she's beating him at the moment.
Yeah. Jack Dickens, this one's for you. Glenn, I think we've covered this one.
Yeah, mate.
Joshua, is it possible for Mounting Yard male product to essentially have lay tips? Horses get, obviously you're getting the best rated and, all that. Dicko's saying he pens some horses. I'd say with the timing that Mounting Yard Mail comes out and the fact that we're putting out a betting service, it's hard enough already in that limited amount of time to turn around the data you've quickly got, then develop a betting strategy to then also be sending out lays is just probably a step too far. I would simply say that if a $2 favourite is not in his top 4 numbers, that is essentially him taking on the horse. Now, whether that means you go out and lay it,
whether it's a lay, it's a tough situation.
And I think he will mention, favourite's absolutely blown up in the yard. He's pretty good with that type of stuff. That if something,
I saw him on Rob's text. I don't know what the 8 was, but he said taking on the 8.
It won, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that's just, like Mounting Yard Mail is not everything.
Well, that's the thing as well. Is
horses can parade like stars to Karen.
That was actually, I'm pretty sure that was the one. No, I don't know. It may not have been. I thought it may have been the one that had the Winx colours on, but I think it was a later race.
Oh, sexy eyes.
Yeah, may have been. I'm not sure, but that thing was just a freakish run from where it was in running. I've got 1 or 2 last questions just to finish us off, because I think it's really important for what's happened, which I see on Twitter and I don't really get involved in anymore. First one was, what were your thoughts on the pre-planned Cox Plate call of Winx? Personally, I hate it. I hate seeing it with Black Caviar. I hate seeing it with Winx. I think call the race. The caller, so be it. If they want to be the centre of attention, go for it. But I think call it, say, Winx hits the lead. Oh, she's kicked away by 2. Ben Battle's battling back. Tell it to me. I don't need to hear how great she is. I know how great she is. What are your thoughts?
Being a brother of a aspiring race caller, I've heard plenty of race calls in my time and renditions of them in Trav's, let alone spin, put it that way. I think if there's a moment you're going to do it, it's probably going to be in these Group 1s because I've had this conversation with Hayden and Trav at the Betfair night.
Yeah.
Like, do they add too much? For mine, if you're looking to get a sort of description on a race like this, I think the moment sort of outweighs, like Winks winning 4 Cox Plate. I don't think he really needs to call the field.
Yeah.
You're watching the race.
You're watching Winks. Kind of like when Chautauqua missed the... didn't jump in that trial at Moonee Valley and they've kept the camera on him rather than showing the trial.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, she's the story. Look, I imagine people betting in the race, you're either getting involved at $1.30, you're backing Winks out market, so you're probably not betting. So, no, I think it's the moment you got to do it. I'm all about race callers nailing calls, like in Melbourne Cups and that, but if there is a moment where he can just get out a couple of lines that just, for mine, send some shivers down your back, it was the race to do it.
See, I like something simple when Chautauqua's just come over the top and he's just said up in Sydney, said boom or whatever it was, you know, like there's simple stuff like that. I'm pretty okay with. I just thought it was too much the final 500 meters just being talking up the horse. I like the horse to do the talking for me, but
it's an opinion game. If we had no opinion, we'd not be betting. So.
I'd get slayed for putting that up on Twitter, I can tell you.
You might still.
Yeah, hopefully. Write me in. Also, speaking of people getting absolutely slayed on Twitter, Matty Chapman, his comments saying Winks has only beaten up on second raters. I reckon, so my viewpoint on this is he was playing the heel, so taking this back to WWE wrestling, we really don't have theatre in racing. You really don't have opinion-based people who go the negative.
Especially not in the mainstream media.
None at all, because...
It's a very PC crowd.
I can tell you right now, and this had actually a massive mental effect on me, is I tried to play the heel a little bit, probably when it was Hartnell versus Winks. I was very much pushing up Hartnell as the person that could beat Winks. Now, did I hope it happened? Yeah. Did I have a bet on Hartnell? Yeah. I actually thought generally that the race was going to be run slowly, and I thought that would give Hartnell his opportunity to get the win, because I thought if they run brutally, it's not going to win. Well, the French horse has gone out in front of me. I was going 200 metres into the race. Straight after the race, I had 5 people within a minute slag me off on Twitter for having an opinion and getting it wrong, which... I think you need that personality in this game to get it going.
If you're a punter, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because, as I said, it's an opinion game. Like if you
get on Betfair and lay me.
Yeah, if you have an opinion and you say, "Oh, I think Winks can get beat," and I'm laying it, and then I'm backing it. Well, I'm happy you have your opinion because I can get a result out of it.
Exactly. And if I was if I was an AFL commentator saying that the Dockers at home are going to be $10 against Richmond at $1.10, and they're going to do a surprise and beat them. If they don't win, you don't exactly see people going and slagging them for that exact same thing. Now, yeah, I know Chapman's gone a bit further and said she's not the likes of those back home and everything, and Ben Battle's, not exactly top class, so it won't be a surprise, but he took it gracefully. He knew exactly his role, and he got us worldwide coverage.
He's a bit like that anyway, though.
Yeah, he is.
From when I don't know when I've, like Royal Ascot, he's a bit of a sort of larrikin, and that's just who he is. I think the way he did it was, in a way I thought was likeable in a sense. Although Chris Waller called him a dickhead.
Which he didn't get fined for. Like, I thought Michelle Payne got fined exactly for that kind of thing.
The stewards would probably look in that in anyone. It was sort of in good fun in my book.
Okay. I didn't hear the interview, I just heard that he called him a dickhead.
I didn't either, but sort of knowing the person that Chris Waller is, just from the outside.
Yeah, we're like, he's a bit of a dickhead.
Yeah, I don't think he's the sort of person who would look to, stab a knife into someone's back that brutally or sort of thing. I quite liked it, to be honest. I think racing lacks a bit of that.
It built up the week for me. Yeah. I liked it. And
don't know if the barrier draw was the right place to say it, because everyone was sort of,
I actually disagree. I think it was the perfect place to say it, because that's where it got everyone stirred up.
Yeah,
it got the theatre going for the next 3 days, and he was the most people wouldn't have known who the hell Matt Chapman was. They sure as hell know who he is now, don't they?
Yeah, so from that point of view, like I just think racing lacks a bit of that rivalry and those sort of things. Like it is a sport. In plenty of races, it's head to head sort of thing. There's like this race, there was really only sort of 3 chances.
Yeah.
Everyone run 2, 3. Like, I'm not fully against it, but it's got to have it's got to be done in the right sort of moments.
Yeah, I just always think back to the Secretariat movie, right? Where who was the other horse? That's how much I know about the other horse, but it was I want to say Gunslinger, but it isn't. Anyway, the owner
And
of
they came out and said in the press release,
I'm gonna smash Secretariat, we're gonna destroy them, and it's that theatre we're missing. We're missing that rivalry. Like you'd love just to hear it.
And in a day and age where social media sort of rules the world, it can be get out on so
How
many
good would it be to
platforms.
hear Weary in the autumn just say, we're bringing up 10 of our best horses, we're going to smash the Wallers, we're going to own the Sydney Spring
Yeah, it's
in autumn.
got a little PC, but...
Well, thank you very much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure having you on.
That's all right.
Hopefully we can have you going forward.
I think the next few weeks,
Yeah, looking forward to it.
we'll see what can happen after that.
Going to be a big week ahead.
Yeah, what have we got? Bendigo
Wednesday.
So Dicko will be there. You'll get a trial report for that as well.
Perfect. We've got the Friday night at Moonee Valley heading into Derby Day. And then the Tuesday we've got Melbourne Cup. It's exciting times.
Yep.
Well, thanks very much, guys. His trial stuff's been absolutely killing it, so you can still get on board. $10 a week. Had a really good week and a half ago at Caulfield, 3 from 3. Haven't had any blue since, but there'll be a blue trial or two coming up.
Commentary was.
Was it?
But,
Okay.
yeah, if I mark it's not necessarily just like bet, but if they're blue, they're like a horse like Kementari probably wasn't in the greatest sort of setup, but his work was very good leading to the trial, and I didn't think I could mark it sort of B in that sort of sense. So
Makes sense.
just take it how it is, but yeah, if all your factors line up and I've staged trial very well, you can.
It's another piece to the puzzle, just like the mounting yard is, as we say.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for watching, and yeah, send us some feedback if you liked it. If you like the format, let us know, please, because we like all type of feedback. It's a bit late.
Feedback welcome.
Cheers.